guys, Anime Collector here. Today I've been asked to talk to you about short number 20B from Japan Animator Expo. And the interesting thing about this short is that it's actually the making of for short 12, Evangelion and Other Impact. And although it is sort of a weird task to have to do a review on a behind the scenes, I do actually work in the VFX industry, so I'm hoping to make this interesting by taking you guys even further behind the scenes and really dissecting some of the tricks that were used to achieve these shots. Now, even though this making of showcases things like the concept art, the model turnaround, some texture details, as well as the color grading and different layers that went into the compositing, for the sake of time, I'll just be focusing on this sequence right here, where Ava Unit Null charges towards and then crashes through this building. The effects in this sequence were achieved by an artist named Kei Yoneoka using a 3ds Max pipeline integrated with both the Thinking Particles plugin, which is used to procedurally shadow the objects, and the Fume Effects plugin, which is the fluid dynamics simulator used to create all the dust and smoke effects. Now, this sequence is broken down into 8 effect shots. Shots 1 through 4 involve the street, and shots 5 through 8 involve the building. Normally in VFX, every shot in a sequence is specifically planned and tackled individually. For instance, with all the building destruction, each of these shots is actually its own 3D scene with all the calculations for the effects isolated to just those shots. So there's one for Unit Null entering the building, a separate one for him exiting the building, one for the building collapsing, and one for everything crashing down. Separating the shots like this makes it a lot easier to maintain your scenes and a lot easier to adjust things to the director's specifications. But there are some situations, as with the running sequence, where because the surface of the road is a lot simpler than a building, it can actually save a ton of time and money to just calculate everything once and reuse it. In fact, I'm pretty sure that shots 2, 3, and 4 are actually the exact same shot re-rendered from different angles. That's most of what we do in VFX. We have to find ways to do things fast and cheap, and usually that means reusing existing assets. For instance, the car animation in shot 1 is reused again in shot 4. And this entire city is probably only like 4 buildings, and 90% of them are the exact same building. You don't really notice it when it's moving, but this building here, with the water tower, the chunk missing in the corner, and this gash on the side, is not only also right here, in the same exact orientation, but it's also here, here, down here with the water tower on the other side, as well as here. And this building in the foreground is the same building, it's just rotated 90 degrees. And here you can see it flipped and rotated the other way, as well as here and here, where they're literally overlapping each other in the same orientation. But because of the movement, the camera shake, and the motion blur, it's just not something that your eye picks up on. And it saves them a ton of money to not have to sit there and model the whole city. Now, let's take a look at shot 5, where Unit Null first crashes into the building. As you can see, they built a sort of 3-layer pseudo-structure to act as the floor and support beams. This goes into the calculation for the main destruction of the overall structure, and then there's an additional calculation for things like the shattering glass and all the other secondary debris. Once this has all been calculated and cached, Fume Effects steps in and is able to actually read the Thinking Particles cache in order to add the smoke effects. And good thing too, because these smoke effects play a very important role. Not only do they look really cool, but they also cover up the fact that there is literally nothing inside of this building. Because all the shots take place outside the buildings, it's just not worth it to have to build out the full interior. So instead, they fake the interior debris using models like these. They represent wood beams attached to panels of broken drywall. These are placed right inside that interior wall that Unit Null is going to crash through, along with models of tables, cabinets, and like chunks of concrete with rebar sticking out, in order to simulate the interior getting torn apart. And it's tricks like these that allowed them to really knock this thing out in only like 4 to 6 months. And with these effects, coupled with some truly top-notch rendering and compositing, it really gives off the impression that this thing had a much higher production budget than it probably did. Anyway, that's it for me. I've been the Anime Collector. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this breakdown.